Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy SalvationsElite. We're back with our video, guys, and today, guys, we're talking about the road to go pro in Call of Duty, specifically in Modern Warfare. And with the new rules, the new Call of Duty League, the franchise league, and the new challenger scene that Activision's putting on, there's a lot of new stuff to go over and how to go pro in Call of Duty. And we're going to talk about it basically from the first step that somebody would take to signing their pro contract. So I'm pumped to talk about it. With that said, let's get right into it. So, you know, all pros had to start somewhere. I mean, some started pub stomping, some started with trick shotting, some started playing Halo. It literally, there's so many different ways that COD pros have started and came into the scene. And there's no really perfect beginning. It all starts different for people, but at the end of the day, it all starts with a passion for competing in competitive COD. And for me, that started playing pubs and playing casual Call of Duty, and then I stumbled upon competitive COD and got into it in that way. Eventually, you have to be introduced to competitive Call of Duty, and if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you already have. And so step one is obviously being familiar with Call of Duty and how the game works and how it plays, and getting a little bit of a feel for competitive COD, whether that's watching competitive COD and learning about it in some way or another, or playing like just a little bit of rank play to get into it. Of course, Modern Warfare doesn't currently have rank play, but hopefully down the road it will. You obviously have to be very familiar with it. Next step is finding a team, and this can be pretty tough for people, is to find a good squad of people to play with. And right now where the competitive scene is at, there's no like really well set way to find good teammates. You kind of have to just work your way into it through Twitter and through Discord. Those are probably the two best options right now. You're trying to find Discord servers, different Twitter circles to get into, play 8 lobbies, 10 lobbies, and then play competitively with those guys. And that's kind of your first step. So if you don't have a good group of people to play with, that's step one, is to find that good community. Obviously, we have a community Discord for people of all competitive skills. If you guys want to check that out, the link's in the description to join the Discord. But there's a lot of different ways to get connected, not just through our Discord, but plenty of others. And I highly recommend that you go search for Discord servers to join. So once you got your squad, you and the boys have got to start playing rank play and game battles to get integrated into competitive Call of Duty. You don't have to expect to be dominant right at the beginning, but you do have to go into the games with an open mind and really go into it trying to learn and figure things out and get better as a team. Personally, it took me a long time to get even competent at competitive COD. I wasn't going into games and learning enough while playing, and just wasn't getting acclimated to the competitive culture enough and watching enough competitive COD to get good. And also another plug, in a few days I'm putting out how to practice like a pro video, and going through like ways that professional COD players would practice and have made their way to the top through those techniques. So we'll be talking about that in a second, so be on the lookout for that. Regardless, casual ladders on game battles is the way to start. You're not playing for anything else besides just to get better at the game, to improve, to win matches, and learn. And that, as well as rank play, hopefully it comes out with Modern Warfare again. Those are where you start. So throughout all that time, like in the Discord servers you're a part of on Twitter, you can get into 10s lobbies, which is just practicing in a group of 10 people. You pick teams, and then you scrim hardpoint domination this year or search and destroy, and you're just playing through different game modes and just practicing a lobby of solid players. And the key is just continue to try to improve. Have that mindset of practice, not of just winning, but that mindset of practice and going into each game trying to improve. And that's how you can really start getting better as an individual and then collectively getting better as a squad. So this is where things get a little bit more intense. This is when you start talking about the pro points, or now the challenger points that they're called. This is the system and how you actually go pro in competitive Call of Duty this year. It's through the Call of Duty Challengers League, which is the amateur league that the COD League is putting on. And that's how you really work your way up through the scene. So the most important thing to understand first is that they renamed pro points to challenger points. So for those of you who are new to this or are just joining the scene this year because of the Call of Duty League, pro points / now challenger points is kind of how players have been sorted in the past. So in the past, how you actually went pro was by having enough pro points that your team would qualify for the pool play of the massive open tournaments like CWL Dallas, CWL Seattle, CWL New Orleans, whatever it was. Those tournaments were all sorted by pro points. So the top 16 teams with the most pro points would be automatically put into pool play, and then the other 64 teams would play an open bracket tournament to play against the 16 other teams. So that's how it used to be, but now it's different with franchise leagues, and you can't just work your way to the top solely based off pro points. You do have to kind of work your way into the system and onto the rosters. So with that said, as a normie like me, as an average person, you can earn pro points by playing the pro points ladders on game battles. So this year they said there's a 100 challenger points limit per week, and you can get up to 35 bonus points per week by getting 1 win per day. So you get 5 bonus points for each first win of the day you get. So you have to win between 13 and 20 matches per week to get your full 100 max points. So again, to review real quick, after you start seeing some success on the casual ladders on game battles, you switch to the challengers ladders, and you start seeing success on the challengers ladders. So that's when you should start entering into tournaments. The big tournament to really consider is the 2K tournament, which is a free tournament to enter. It's a massive open bracket online tournament where you enter in, and anyone that's not an actual pro player on a franchise roster can enter into these tournaments. So you start doing these tournaments, and once you start finishing pretty well, top 64, then maybe top 32, that's when you're starting to get pretty competitive, and you're getting there as a squad having a chance to go pro. So now you're starting to do pretty well in these pro point ladders. You're doing pretty well in these 2Ks. You're hovering around top 64, top 32. You're starting to be successful in tournaments. You definitely should be considering to attend some LANs now. And this year, because of the new franchising model, there's going to be a lot of options and a lot of opportunities to attend LANs. So I'd highly recommend that you guys try to make that happen. I mean, even if you're not like dominating on pro point ladders or dominating inside 2Ks or being that successful, as long as you can afford to go, I highly recommend that you would, because it's a fantastic experience and can really help your team grow as a core. I just really can't emphasize that enough. If you guys can make it happen and get out to some of these LANs, because at the end of the day, the LANs are where you really make a name for yourself, and the LANs is where you really start seeing that path to pro come to fruition. So this year, there's going to be open events held by every single franchise team. So there's going to be at least 12 open events this year, and there's $1 million prize for the open events. So those pro points plus the prize money is going to be distributed through the top 64. And if you're going to these LANs and you're getting top 64, especially top 32, you're right on the fringe of going pro. And like, man, you are absolutely so close. So I know a lot of you guys already know this, but probably some of you don't. I worked for MLG for the last about 2 years. So I've been to all the events plus COD Champs the last 2 years. For sure, the top 32 teams at these open events really are solid players and really good players. And when you get to the top 16 of open bracket events, those guys are really good. And when you're finishing top 16 or top 32 of these open events, that basically means you're a pro. We do have to kind of define what a pro means. Obviously, I think in most people's minds, a pro means that you're in the pro league, which is a pretty reasonable expectation. But this year, it's not easy to get in the pro league. There's only 7 to 10 players per roster, and there's 12 teams. So there's less than 120 pro players. To be fair, I mean, some amateur teams will pay their rosters. I would basically count the players on those teams as pros. Then you tier down. The next tier of teams will pay for your travel, pay for your hotels, and the next tier of teams will at least pay for your team pass. So there definitely will be some more opportunities for you to go pro or get paid to play Call of Duty, even if you're not actually in the pro league. At this point in your career, you're really good. You're consistently finishing top 64, top 32 at these open events. You're just on the cusp of going pro. So the question is, how do you actually go pro and get onto these rosters in the Call of Duty League? Unfortunately, with how it's been going right now, it feels like it's kind of a buddy-buddy system where the pros are getting their friends on their rosters. So it's really important to create a brand for yourself and get into those pro circles in any way you can. Whether that's through Discord, whether that's through Twitter, whether that's through befriending them in other ways, like being a mod for them on their Twitch or whatever it is, to get as close to those circles as you can as soon as possible to give you a chance to get your name out there. And then of course you have to create a brand for yourself. So you have to stream, you have to put content on Twitter, put content on Instagram, create your own Discord servers, whatever it is, YouTube content, to get your name out there and create a name for yourself. So even if pro players don't actually know you, they know of you. And that only helps your odds of making a pro roster. And then of course there's winning, and winning is probably the best way to get your name out there. If you're winning tournaments, you're on top of the game battles ladders, you're winning cash on game battles, whatever it is, you're in the top 16, the top 8 of LANs, you're gonna get your name out there and pros are gonna start hearing about you, and that's what you need to officially go pro. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy the video. So I hope you guys have a better understanding of the Call of Duty scene as a whole and what you guys need to do and the steps you guys need to take. So if you guys did enjoy the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if you guys really enjoyed it. I really do appreciate the support. Like I always say, I'm trying to do this full time, and I cannot do that without you guys. So I really always do appreciate your support, the comments, the likes, the shares, whatever it is. And I really do appreciate it. So as always, guys, I'm your boy SalvationsElite, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.